Hello everyone, I am Deep Patel from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Today we are going to start our new chapter, chapter number 9, that is the air compressor. Okay, so before going to the detail about the air compressor, let us discuss what is the meaning of air compressor. So we can say that air compressor is the machine which takes the air at the low pressure and then compress it to the high pressure. Okay. Now let us discuss how the air compressor is classified. Okay. So the air compressor can be classified by the many ways. Let us discuss it one by one. So the first is the method of compression. Okay, so the air compression can be classified as the reciprocating air compressor and the rotary air compressor. Okay, also it is classified as a centrifugal air compressor. So in this chapter we will discuss about many types of reciprocating compressor and the rotary compressors. Okay, in the reciprocating compressor we will discuss about the single acting reciprocating compressor, double acting reciprocating compressor. Also we will discuss about the single stage and the multi stage reciprocating compressor. Okay, then we will discuss about the rotary compressor and on which principle the rotary compressor work. Okay, so this all we will discuss in this chapter. Next, the compressor can be classified according to the delivery pressure. So, it can be classified as low pressure compressor, medium pressure compressor and the high pressure compressor. Okay, so the low pressure compressor is within the range of 0 to 1.1 bar pressure. Okay, medium pressure compressor is works in between the range of 1.1 to 8 bar pressure, and the high pressure compressor is work at the range of the 8 to 10 bar or above it. Okay, so these are the categories of the low pressure, medium pressure and the high pressure compressor. Next is the principle of operation. So according to the principle of operation, we can categorize it as positive displacement and the rotodynamic or the steady flow compressor. In the positive displacement compressor, what happens? The one element, or we can say that that element is piston, will reciprocate, and due to the positive displacement or the reciprocation of that element, the air will be compressed. Okay, so we can say that the compressor which works on the principle of positive displacement, that compressors are known as the positive displacement compressor. Second, we will discuss about the rotodynamic compressor. In the rotodynamic compressor, there will be one rotor which will rotate, and due to the rotation of that rotor or the impeller, the higher amount of the centrifugal force will be generated, and due to the centrifugal force the air will be compressed. That type of compressor is known as the rotodynamic compressor. So that we will discuss in this chapter. Okay, next is the air compressor can be classified as volume of air delivered. Okay, so it can be classified in the three type. First is the low capacity compressor, second is the medium capacity compressor, and third is the high capacity compressor. Okay, so in the low capacity compressor the volume flow rate is up to 10 meter cube per minute. Okay, in the medium capacity compressor the volume flow rate is up to 10 meter cube per minute to the 300 meter cube per minute. And third, it is categorized into the high capacity, that is the volume flow rate is above 300 meter cube per minute. So very high volume flow rate is generated in the higher capacity compressor. Next is the number of cylinder. So according to the number of cylinder, we can categorize it into the single cylinder and the multi-cylinder compressor. Where we require less amount of the pressure, we can use single cylinder compressor. Okay, but if we want to compress high amount of the air, then we need multi-cylinder compressor where the pressure ratio is very high. Okay. Then the pressure limit. So we, according to the pressure limit, we can categorize the devices like if the pressure ratio is up to 1 to 1.1, then we can call that device as a fan. If the pressure ratio is 1.1 to 2.5, then we can call this device as a blower, and if the pressure ratio is above 2.5, then we can say that it is the compressor. So according to the pressure ratio, we can give the names of the device. Okay. Next is the number of stages. So single stage compressor and the multi-stage compressor. Okay, so single stage compressor is generally used for the pressure up to 5 bar, and multi-stage compressor is used when the pressure is above 5 bar. So when we want to compress the air up to 5 bar, we have to use only single stage compressor. In the single stage compressor there is only one cylinder. In the multi-stage compressor, what happens? First we will compress the air up to certain pressure, like up to 5 bar, then we will again compress that 5 bar air into the certain rise amount, that is 8 bar or 10 bar. Okay, so if we want to compress the air up to 10 bar or 15 bar, then we have to use multi-staging. Okay, so in the multi-staging we will compress the air first time, then again we will compress the air, then again we will compress the air. So that is known as the multi-staging of the compressor. So that we will discuss in this chapter. Okay, so according to the number of stages, we can classify it as a single stage compressor and the multi-stage compressor. Okay, next is the fuel to be compressed. So according to the fuel, we can categorize the compressor as the air compressor, gas compressor and the vapor compressor. Okay, so in the air compressor, air will be compressed; in the gas compressor, gas will be compressed; in the vapor compressor, vapor will be compressed. Okay, so according to the compression, we can categorize it air, gas and the vapor compressor. Okay, next we are going to discuss most important thing, that is the use of the compressed air. Okay, so let us discuss it. So first of all, the compressed air is used in the refrigerating cycle. Okay, we know that in the air refrigeration, or it is also called as a Bell-Coleman cycle. So in the air refrigeration we are using the compressed air. Next, operating the pneumatic tools. Okay, we all know that in the industry we are using the different types of the pneumatic tool. So to operate the pneumatic tool we can use the air compressor or the compressed air. Next, to filling the air in the automobile tires, that we have already discussed. Okay, next in the spray painting. Okay, spray painting we have to use the compressed air that will mix with the paint, so we can use the compressed air in the spray painting. Okay, next it is used to increase the inlet pressure of the IC engine. Okay, so we know about the supercharging and the turbocharging. So in the supercharging we provide the compressed air. Okay, so ignition will be easily start and the knocking tendency can be reduced. Also we can increase the efficiency of the IC engine if we use the compressed air in the inlet. So to increase the inlet pressure of the IC engine we can use the compressor. Okay, next to pumping the water, next to run the gas turbine power plant, also for the sandblasting process. This sandblasting process is the surface finishing process. So when we want to increase the surface finish of any product, we can use this sandblasting process. So in the sandblasting, compressed air is used. Okay, also it is used for operating the blast furnace. It is used in the brakes of the bus, trucks and the trains. Okay, also it is used for conveying the materials like the sand and the concrete along the pipeline. Okay, so these are the some uses of the compressed air. Okay, now let us start the working of the air compressor, how it is worked. So first of all, by seeing this figure you can understand that there are total two stroke, one is the suction and second is the compression. So from this suction and compression we can understand the working of the air compressor. So in this figure you can see total 5 figure. Okay, so our first figure is the initial condition. In the initial condition what happens, here you can see at figure number A. In figure number A, piston is at the topmost position of the cylinder. That position is known as the top dead center, that is the TDC. And also you can see there is a small volume between the cylinder head and the piston position. That small volume is known as the clearance volume. Okay, so this is our ideal condition where the piston is at the top dead center. Above the piston there will be some volume, that volume is known as the clearance volume, and above the clearance volume that is a cylinder head. Okay, in the cylinder head we have put two valves, one is the suction valve and second is the delivery valve or the discharge valve. Okay, now with the piston there is one rod is connected, that rod is known as the connecting rod, and one device which is rotate is known as the crank. Okay, so here in the figure you have to understand there are one cylinder, one piston, one connecting rod, one crank and two valve, which is one suction valve and second is the discharge valve. Okay, and the ideal condition is that the piston is at the top dead center. Above the piston there will be some volume, that is the clearance volume, and above the clearance volume there is a cylinder head in which the two valve is fitted. Okay, so this is our initial condition. Now let us understand the working. Now what happens? The piston will move from the top dead center to the bottom dead center. Okay, so piston will move from up to down. When the piston is at top dead center, there is no pressure difference between the atmospheric air and the air which is in the clearance volume. So the pressure difference is zero. Now what happens when piston is going to the downward motion? So when piston is moving down, the slightly pressure difference is created between the atmospheric pressure and the pressure inside the cylinder. So due to that pressure difference, the inlet valve will be open and air will tries to move into the cylinder from the atmosphere. Okay. So again I am repeating what happens here. When the piston is at TDC, there is no pressure difference between the atmospheric air and the in the cylinder. Okay, but when piston is going down, the pressure difference is created in the cylinder and in the atmospheric air. Okay, so what happens? The pressure inside the cylinder is less compared to the atmospheric pressure. So the air which is present in the atmosphere will tries to come into the cylinder. So the suction valve will be open and the atmospheric air will be goes into the cylinder. Okay, now what happens? Then piston will go to the BDC. So you can see here in the figure number B, the suction is start. Okay, and in the figure number C, you can see that the piston is reached at the bottom dead center and the amount of air will be comes into the cylinder. Okay, now the suction valve here, during the suction process, the suction valve will be open so that the air can come out into the cylinder. Okay, now this is the end of suction stroke. Okay, so in the end of suction stroke, the piston is at the bottom dead center and air will be filled into the cylinder. Now what happens? Again the piston will move from the bottom dead center to the top dead center. Now during which the both the valve will be closed. Okay, the suction valve and the delivery valve, both valve will be closed. So what happens? The piston will move from the bottom dead center to the top dead center. Both the valve will be closed so that the air which is filled into the cylinder will be compressed, and due to the compression of this air, the pressure and temperature of the air will be rise, volume will be decrease. Okay, now after compression you can see our last figure, that is the figure E. So in the figure E, what happens? The discharge valve will be open, so the compressed air will be going outward from the discharge valve. Okay, so you can see here in figure A, that is the ideal condition. In figure B, there is a slightly piston will goes to the down, so the pressure difference is created. In the figure C, the air which is present in the atmosphere will comes into the cylinder. Then the piston will, in the figure D, you can see the piston will move from the bottom dead center to the top dead center so that the air will be compressed. After that, in the figure E, you can see that the compressed air will be discharged from the discharge valve. Okay, and we can use the compressed air for the many applications that we have discussed earlier. Okay, so this is what how the air compressor is working. Okay, now here we have to calculate the work done for the air compressor. Okay, so we will calculate the work done by the two type. First is the compression without clearance. In that we will assume that there will be no clearance between the piston head and the cylinder head. Okay, so the clearance volume will be zero. That is our first assumption. And in the second type, we will calculate the work done when the clearance is present. So it is the real situation like this. Okay, so let us calculate first ideal work done, that is the work done without clearance. Okay, so here you can see this PV diagram. In this PV diagram, you can see that there is a total 4 process. Process number 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 and 4 to 1. Now what happens here? In the process number 4 to 1, that is our expansion process. So in the expansion process, you can see that the volume is increased. Okay, and the expansion is carried out at constant pressure. So we can say that 4 to 1 is the constant pressure expansion process. Now when the air is compressed, that is the compression process. So compression process is process number 1 to 2. This compression can be done any type. that can be adiabatic, that can be isothermal, or that can be polytropic. We don't know. Okay, so we will calculate first it for the adiabatic process, then we will calculate for the polytropic, and then we will calculate for the isothermal process. Okay, so the compression can be of any type. So process number 1 to 2 is shown here, the compression process. Then process number 3, 2 to 3. 2 to 3 is again the discharge process. In the process number 2 to 3, the volume of air will be delivered. So we can say that in the process number 2 to 3 is the constant pressure process. Okay, so let us calculate the work done. So first of all, you know that when we want to find the work done from the any PV diagram, we can calculate it by the considering the area under the curve. Okay, so if we want to find the work done for this cycle, cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, then we have to find the area which is consumed by this cycle. Okay, so we can say that the area under process 1 to 2 plus area under the process 2 to 3 minus area under the process 1 to 4, then we can find the work done. Okay, so here you can write, if the compression is adiabatic, then we can write work done for this cycle is equals to area under 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now if we want to find the area under 1, 2, 3, 4, then we have to write area under 2 to 3 plus area under 1 to 2 minus area under 4 to 1. Okay, so we know that the process 1 to 2, okay, 1 to 2 is the adiabatic process. So for the process number 1 to 2, we can write the work done as P2V2 minus P1V1 upon gamma minus 1. Now process 2 to 3 is the constant pressure process. So we can write P2V2, and the process 4 to 1 is again constant pressure process. So for that work done, we can write P1V1. Okay, so here area under 2 to 3 is equals to P2V2 plus area under 1 to 2, that is the adiabatic process. So we can write P2V2 minus P1V1 upon gamma minus 1, and area under 4 to 1, that is the P1V1. So minus P1V1 we can write. Okay, now if we get common P2V2 minus P1V1, then we can get P2V2 minus P1V1. Okay, so what is remaining in the equation, that is 1 upon 1 plus 1 upon gamma minus 1. So if we put and take the LCM, then we can get gamma upon gamma minus 1 P2V2 minus P1V1. Okay, let us take P1V1 as common, then we can write that gamma upon gamma minus 1 P1V1 in bracket P2V2 upon P1V1 minus 1. Okay, so this is our equation number 1. Now we know that the 1 to 2 process is the adiabatic process. So for the adiabatic process, we can write adiabatic law as the PV raised to gamma equals to constant. So for the process number 1 to 2, we can write P1 V1 raised to gamma is equals to P2 V2 raised to gamma. Okay, so we can write that V2 by V1 is equals to P2 by P1 raised to minus 1 upon gamma. Okay, so this is our equation number 2. So if we put the value of V2 by V1 in this equation, then we can get the work done for the compression process, or the work done for the cycle 1, 2, 3, 4 is equals to gamma upon gamma minus 1 into P1 V1 in bracket P2 by P1 raised to gamma minus 1 by gamma minus 1. Okay, so this is the final equation of work done. Okay, now here we have assumed that the compression was adiabatic. Now if the compression is polytropic, then what we have to change? Okay, and what will be the value of work done? So we know that what is the difference in the adiabatic and the polytropic process. In the polytropic process, all the equation will be remain same, but here we have to replace the gamma by n. Okay, n is the polytropic index and the gamma is the adiabatic index. So we have to change only index. So here we can directly write that the work done for the polytropic process is equals to n upon n minus 1 P1 V1 into P2 V2 upon P1 V1 minus 1. Okay, and then we can write V2 by V1 is equals to P2 by P1 raised to minus 1 upon gamma, and if we replace that, then we can directly write that W is equals to n upon n minus 1 into P1 V1 in bracket P2 by P1 raised to n minus 1 by n minus 1. Okay, so here only we have replaced the gamma by n. Okay, so this is the final equation if the work done is the polytropic. Next, if the compression is isothermal. Okay, so first we have discussed if the compression is adiabatic. Second, we have discussed if the compression is polytropic. Now we are going to discuss if the compression is isothermal. Okay, so for the isothermal process, we can write the same thing: the area under 2 to 3, area under 1 to 2 minus area under 4 to 1. Then we can write if the compression is isothermal. So the middle equation will be changed. The adiabatic equation was P2V2 minus P1V1 upon gamma minus 1. But here the compression is isothermal. So for the isothermal process, we can write work done as P1V1 log V1 by V2. Okay, so here for the isothermal process, we can write that P1V1 is equals to P2V2. So finally, the equation will becomes W is equals to P1V1 ln V1 by V2. And we know that the V1 by V2 is the compression ratio R. So here you can write W is equals to P1V1 ln R. Okay, so this is the final equation for the isothermal compression process. So in this lecture, we have discussed about what is the meaning of air compressor. Then we have discussed about the classification of air compressor, and then we have understand how the air compressor works, and also we have discussed about the work done without clearance for the air compressor. Okay, so this is what all about today's lecture. Thank you for today.